another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
Man, very tired. Just dragging in from Myrtle Beach.
You coming in from Myrtle Beach. I am coming in from the NYC.
I saw how was Brooklyn.
Man, Brooklyn spreading love as always. Oh my
The
gosh, it was
Brooklyn way.
live. Yes, sir. Got a chance to go to the West Indian Day Parade on Monday, and man, it had to be over 2 million people out there on Eastern Parkway, just jamming and stuff. Man, it was crazy. Lots of good Caribbean food. Had some good old curry goat, and there was some jerk chicken, and people had coconuts, and of course some Casamigos fruit punches, and all kinds of stuff out there. Man, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, like I said, when I was in New York, we got halfway across the Brooklyn Bridge, just didn't go all the way to the Brooklyn part. So next
Yeah,
time we go back, Brooklyn is definitely on the map for me.
bro.
Brooklyn,
Yeah,
Queens, Harlem,
yeah.
I'm hitting all
We
those
got
places.
we definitely got to show you some Brooklyn, man. If you are a foodie and you're in New York, it's crazy. We took some friends up with us and spent a couple of days, and we just showed them some of just a little small taste of all of the different kinds of foods and things that are there. It's just so much. Whatever you're into, there's just so much there. Anthony Price, you was in Brooklyn and you didn't get no knockoff bags. It's funny. I didn't get any knockoff bags, but I could tell you exactly where some were. I didn't see any in Brooklyn per se, but I know when we came across the Brooklyn Bridge into Chinatown, they were all over the place.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
if you go into Harlem on around 121st, 125th in that area, they'll be all along the side of the sidewalks with plenty of knockoff bags. So if you ever want to know where to get some of the best knockoff bags in the boroughs, let me know. Yeah, I can
You,
definitely
you
help you.
just you just get them on the Brooklyn Bridge. I could tell you that.
Oh my God. That
Yeah.
that has expanded since the last time when we crossed over. Normally, as you're on the side of the Brooklyn Bridge right at Manhattan, they normally have all those vendors right there as you come off of the bridge. Never really has it gone all the way up onto the bridge. But when we went by the other day and saw the umbrellas with the vendors, that was pretty interesting. Now, when you get to the middle of the bridge, you'll have people that have like pictures or sketches of the bridge and stuff like that for sale. But I've never seen it like that as far as vendors are concerned. And then when you get off of the bridge into Manhattan, you got all the food trucks and stuff right there, the little falafels and hot dogs and stuff like that. But definitely the city is back. I can definitely say that. Doesn't look like COVID ever came. So that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
good.
I was so
Definitely.
pissed off, man. Before I went to my trip, I went to a couple of the sports shops here in town, looking all over the place for a New York hat, a fitted Yankee hat. Gotta have a fitted. So I finally found one. Cost me about $47.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then got up on the Brooklyn Bridge and they were selling them for like $15, $20. I was so pissed off, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
In the city, because you're a Yankees fan, there is a Yankees store there that I go to. Now it is, a little bit higher and stuff because it's, their authentic stuff and their licensed stuff. But if you're a Yankees fan and you want to get some gear, there is a store. I want to say it's off on 8th Avenue or something like that. But I've been in there several times, and it's some really, really good stuff up in there. So
Yeah.
even some older stuff too.
They had some bargains right there in Yankee Stadium. I was looking
You
at.
do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's a Yankee store at Yankee Stadium. That's actually pretty cool too. I forgot about that. Absolutely. But so good time. Glad you had a good time down in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, very tiring though. Just
Yeah.
had a great time with fam. Good to be back, but you know how it is. You miss your own bed, miss your house, man. It's
Man, my
nothing like
back
it.
my back definitely missed my bed. We stayed at a nice Airbnb in Brooklyn, but and it was very nice and everything. It was very comfortable, but yeah, your body definitely knows where you normally sleep. So
That's right.
after 6.5 days, it is definitely good to be back. Oh man, and thank you all for joining us today. We are streaming live and direct from LinkedIn, Facebook, our YouTube channel, which is Empower TV. Uh, you can always check it out there, or you can always go to our Roku and Amazon Fire TV, which we're also broadcasting live from as well. Empower TV on the Amazon Fire TV app as well as Roku TV, and that way you can keep up with not just head-to-head sports, but our main show head-to-head, plus all the other types of content that we have loaded onto the page. Website has just been updated. I got to still do a little bit of tinkering around since they kind of moved to a different platform to give us a little bit more expansion on our TV startup affiliate. But just check that out. And if you're on our YouTube, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It always helps with the algorithms and everything else. But we are here, Rand. We are here at the very, very moment. Over the last 6 days, I've done 2 fantasy drafts. Uh,
Yeah, got that in too.
so I think I'm ready to go now. Looking forward to the season. You know, I will say this, Rand, and I don't know if you noticed this. Okay. First and foremost, in our Facebook Kings draft, with the 4th round in the draft, with the 4th pick in the first round of the draft, Sam Howell.
That will be my dear brother-in-law.
I get he got to be a Redskins fan.
Oh, absolutely. Long time.
But
Redskins fan.
bro, if you're going to take a quarterback with the 4th pick, it's not Justin Herbert. It's not Joe Burrow. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Josh Allen. It ain't Tua. Man, you should have took C.J. Stroud or Sam
Mike,
Howell.
if you listening, brother, I love you. I love you, but I can't defend you, bro.
Brent, you just don't understand how when I saw that, I'm just going. I'm around a bunch of family and stuff, and I just lost it. I'm like, what the? They're like, what happened? And when I told them, they said, bro, stop playing. I said, no, for real, look. And he was like, look. And he says, I'm a Washington fan, and I wouldn't do that. With the 4th pick?
Look, ain't bother me none because I just went right on behind him and scooped up Patrick Mahomes. So,
oh my God. So that was crazy. But between our draft and the one that I did last Thursday with my Red Roof Inn team, the one thing that I saw that is just baffling to me is the amount of running backs that went in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds.
Yeah. People still are not getting it. They think it's the league from probably about 5 or 6 years ago when running backs are like, extreme value picked.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still doing that. I'm gonna let them continue to do that because, yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, in my Red Roof draft, I literally got Travis Kelce in the 7th round. I got Aaron Rodgers in the 6th round, Travis Kelce in the 7th, Deebo Samuel in the 8th.
That's incredible value right there. I know how
because they were going ham on running backs.
That's crazy to let the absolute best tight end go to the 7th round is ridiculous.
How?
That's crazy as hell.
Oh my! These drafts, I'm like, and so I thought the Red Roof one was an outlier, and then when we had our draft on Sunday night, and I'm seeing all these running backs go, I'm like, do y'all know something I don't know about these running? Because if anything, I had at a premium, it was tight end. I always make sure that I have both of my tight ends by the 6th round because after that, you start getting these up tight ends that may start on a team, but they're not a primary scoring or that they don't necessarily catch. They just do more blocking and everything else, but they count as an offensive player because it's an offensive position. But a lot of them don't play an offensive role. And if you don't fill up that role very fast, then you have a position on your fantasy that doesn't generate a lot of points. You want to get at least 6 to 10 points out of your tight end.
Since we're on the subject, I'm just going to go ahead and give away the secret. You got to take Kelce 1st, 2nd round latest in most leagues because of this. There are 32 teams, right? There are 32 starting tight ends. The top 5 tight ends, there's such a fall off from 1 to 2. It's ridiculous. And then from 2 to 5 is even more. There's really only 3 premium tight ends in the entire league that's going to average you a good, I'd say 80 to 10 points, however you do your scoring, every single game. And one of those is Travis Kelce, because he can't be stopped. So, yeah, I got him. I got him first round. I know he had a knee issue. It looks like he's going to be okay with that. But the Cup people who went out and bought Cooper first or second round, y'all may be in trouble. My man just sustained a hamstring injury. He's already been ruled out for the first game. They're talking about putting him on IR. So
and that's at least minimum 4 right there.
Yeah, that's minimum 4. So y'all might be in trouble already.
Anthony did ask, well, he made one comment and then asked you about Kelce. He said it's hard to find a running back. You can find a wide receiver and a quarterback in the third or later. I agree with the quarterback and I agree with the wide receiver to an extent, unless there is I'll give you a perfect example, Anthony. If Justin Jefferson is available, go ahead and take Justin Jefferson.
Got to take
him. But if now you start to look at the field and it's a bunch of similar skill set wide receivers, then okay, I can see that. Like I'm going to tell you how bad this Red Roof draft was. I ended up with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
How many teams?
10. Yeah, because they went right back crazy and they were there.
They might as well crown you right now.
So I got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Debo. So I agree with you, Anthony, that yes, you can find wide receivers, but you get the better ones first, and then it does kind of drop off into a big field. But I feel that way about running backs. If you don't get like the prime running back of the year, like I saw a lot of people going for Bijan Robinson for Atlanta.
Yeah.
And what he's going to do. But then after that, the kind of running back field, if you think about it, Anthony, running backs have almost just gotten to the point where as long as there's a good offensive line, didn't Deontay Foreman show us that even without Christian McCaffrey, the Panthers could run the ball? Didn't other teams show you basically when they weren't paying running backs exorbitant amounts of money that if they just had a competent guy back there? You saw Philadelphia let Miles Sanders go because they feel like still with the guys they have, they can run the ball. You've seen San Francisco do the same thing. So the premium on the running back has gone down. Yes, receivers once you get past, but to same thing to Rand's point with tight ends. Once you get down to the first 3 or 4 premium tight ends, they're all about the same. You just shake them in the bag and you pull one out, and it's basically going to be about the same.
Yeah,
but you definitely don't just go. I mean, out of the first 2 rounds in both of the drafts, I saw over 10 to 12 running backs taken. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, here's 2 secrets about drafting in fantasy. I'll go ahead and give away to anybody that's listening. The first secret is you can't ever lock yourself into a position. Don't go in there saying, oh, I need a running back. I need a running back. With this next pick of mine, I'm taking a running back. No, don't do that.
What?
You take the best available talent. So if you see a running back and the running back is Cuba Hubbard, but you looking over to the wide receiver and they got Jefferson sitting on the board, you're going to take Jefferson.
Yeah, you don't go back and get your running back. I really got to get Cuba.
Yeah. Don't ever lock yourself into a position like that, man.
Right. And I think a lot of people did that. And I'm just like, that is a backfire. Now, Anthony did ask, how do you feel about getting Kelce and then finding out he got injured? Well, Kelce only hyperextended. That doesn't really seem like that's going to be something that's going to keep him out the entire season. Even if I had to keep Kelce on the shelf for, even 3 to 4 weeks, think about the impact that he's going to have the rest of the season. So unless he was on full season IR, I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about it at all because you gotta take that chance. I mean, you can't have Kelce sit there and go, what if he gets hurt? I mean, you got to do it.
So Kelce had a hyperextension of a knee. His ACL and MCL are fine. So what happens with that? He's going to slap a knee brace on and probably will be out there tomorrow. If he's not on the field tomorrow, he'll definitely be for game 2.
Yeah, and he's old enough too, Rand, where he knows if he puts that brace on, he still knows what he can do. And I
Yep.
would take a Kelsey at 70% over some of these tight ends at 100%.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
See,
Here's a second point about fantasy, and I'll leave it alone.
yeah,
Because running backs are always the ones with the ball in their hand. They're the ones that are tackled the most, therefore the ones that are injured the most.
yes,
Sadly to say, week 1, week 2, there's going to be a starting running back that's going to go down for the year.
Yep, they're gonna
And
blow it out.
You could always pick up another back off of waivers and
Yep.
get tons of points with them, i.e. Foreman last year for the Panthers when McCaffrey got traded.
Now he says, I think he says, I hope he sits out tomorrow, so my parlay would be voided. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gambling.
Gambling man.
I got you. All right. Well, listen, y'all. I mean, I had to go into the fantasy a little bit because it's going to be one of those things. Fantasy has changed fandom a little bit in the way I had one of my friends tell me at the cookout. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing fantasy this year." He says, "I'm going to go back to watching football like I used to watch it, where I could just root for my team." And because he's a big New York Giants fan, and he hated the fact that last year he had the Cowboys defense, so he was torn. he says, "I didn't like that feeling all year that I'm rooting for their defense."
Right. I can fully understand it.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But yes, it's exciting and stuff like that. It's good. I told my wife, I said, yeah, there was a meme up on Sunday that said, Sunday is the last Sunday all the way until February where there'll be football now.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And also, Rand, I know this is an NFL, but major shout out to my North Carolina Tar Heels for sending them stinking, nasty, rotten, feather wagging Gamecocks all the way back to dirty ass Columbia, South Kakalaki. Take your little windstorm with you and them raggedy billboards. So
Little
that's
dust storm. I told you, just a little dust devil. That's all. Little dust devil. That's all we have.
while I'm talking about college football too, let me give some props to Colorado and Coach Prime for going up into TCU and saying, "I told you we coming and we gonna do something."
Took
So
that thing, boy.
that is good. And lastly, I would like to say it looked real good seeing Shannon Sharp sitting across from Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
I will say that. Even though he did call Stephen A. Skip 2 times, but it's expected after 7-8 years with Skip Bayless. He could have called Molly Karam Skip. He would have said it too. So it was good seeing Shannon back on TV and everything. So just a few observations from the last week from a football perspective. But we've got 2 more divisions to get into. I also want to get into any of our predictions for the season, whether it's Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Super Bowl picks, and that kind of thing too. So we'll kind of go through the divisional guys fast. It should be easy, especially as we start with the NFC, AFC South, because a lot of these teams aren't really that good and won't be a whole lot to opine about when it comes to that. They're just simply not that good. But we do have our first game tomorrow, which is going to be the Lions against the Chiefs. And we'll go into some of the games that we see as some really opening weekend games that of note, and any prediction on those as well as we go into the season. We'll always review some of the bigger games of the previous week and look forward to the week ahead. So that's how we'll do it. Let us know how you guys feel about it, how you feeling about your team and everything. And we'll go from there. So let's see. Up first, we have the Houston Texans. The good old Houston Texans. Led by their brand new number 1 pick, CJ Stroud at quarterback, backed up by last season's starter in Davis Mills and Case Keenum. They are carrying 3 quarterbacks. They've got Damian Pierce at running back with Devin Singletary backing him up. You got Nico Collins at receiver, Robert Woods and Noah Brown also at receivers. You got Dalton Schultz at tight end that came over from the Cowboys. And then they are actually carrying a fullback too. Now they also got up front Laramie Tunsil, Josh Jones, Kendrick Green at the center, Shaq Mason, and Josh Jones to fill out the front. Um, Rand, this is a team that they were a little weird last year. They weren't very good. They lost a lot of, but they did lose a lot of games that I thought that they were competitive in. But this team has just been through so much turmoil over the last couple of years with their coaching carousel. Now D'Amico Ryans is taking over as the head coach. A lot is going to be expected. He has a big defensive presence, so they should really, really be able to lean heavily into that. That'll be good to kind of see what they can do with this team. If they can kind of get on a roll, they may be able to knock a few teams in the AFC. I'm not saying they're going to win a lot of games. They kind of remind me of Detroit a couple of years ago, where you come in and you got a coach that everybody wants to play for. They'll play hard, but will it translate into actual wins? Or will you be able to at least see a little bit of promise? You've got a young quarterback in there, CJ Stroud from the Ohio State. The biggest thing to me on the offensive side is going to be how well they can protect him and allow him to grow, since he's been named the week 1 starter over Davis Mills.
Yeah, as I'm going through this roster here, I'm seeing some just lack of wide receivers.
Yeah.
First off, I got Noah Brown from Dallas. He was like number 3 in Dallas. Now he's in the slot for them.
Yeah.
Over here at Houston, I got Nico Collins. Not excited about this dude. Robert Woods, just the old veteran off of this wide receiver unit. He doesn't stretch the field. He's kind of that just safety valve wide receiver. I don't see much explosion on this offense as I'm going through everything.
No, I bet you, honestly, I think Dalton Schultz is going to be their leading receiver.
Right. I could definitely see that, especially in the red zone where he's very good at anyway. So could be a long year for CJ Stroud. He does have Damon Pierce to lean on for that run game, and that's going to be important.
It is. And they may try to do a little bit of RPO with him and Damian Pierce, where he's holding the ball at the last minute to kind of see if the defense is going to bite. I do see a lot of design quarterback runs, and they may have to do that while that line gels, just to give him a chance, so he's not getting blown up as soon as he takes a 3-step drop. But try to freeze that defense on the other side, so he at least has a chance to look at it, analyze it, and decide if he wants to hand the ball off or if he wants to either run, bootleg, something to extend the play, get it to the middle of the field for a guy like a Robert Woods, who's really better at maybe what you were, I think, intimating more like a comeback route, where maybe he takes a couple of steps forward to try to shake the defensive back, and then maybe do like a comeback from a bootleg or something like that. I've seen him do that a lot in his career, and that's probably what he's more fitted for. But you're right. I don't really see any of their receivers that would stretch the field. Maybe like in past years where they had somebody like a Brandon Cooks that would be out there, be able to stretch one side of the field. But I don't really see that with this particular team.
Yeah, there's like no receiver they have is worth a double team. So
no. If you can't beat the guy in front of you outright, it's going to be hard to win any of those matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. The AFC South isn't the AFC South that it has been over the years. So there may be some opportunities, or at least the games be really, really competitive, 1-score games and things like that. I don't necessarily see Indianapolis blowing them out. I see Jacksonville giving them a hard time. I see possibly Tennessee giving them a hard time. But we'll see how that division goes. I think if Jacksonville wasn't in that division, you very well could see a team that only gets 8 to 9 wins win that division. But I think one of these teams is going to have to get 9 wins to win the division this year. I don't see any of them getting more than that. So we'll see how that goes.
Right. I do see they have Will Anderson coming off the edge on defense. I do like that move. Um, he might be one of those candidates for Rookie of the Year too. I heard he's tearing it up in camp. We'll see how he does once the regular season gets here. But not really seeing anything else in that defense.
What do you think
Could be
about
another
Perryman?
long year for the Texans.
What do you think about Perryman in the middle?
Perryman, middle linebacker, former Panther who never even got on the field for us. He's just an average dude, man. Just
Hmm.
a guy.
Yeah, that's gonna be dangerous to have your mic like that. Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be hard because that defense is gonna be porous. If you get any quarterback that can just pick apart a secondary, that's gonna be really really hard. If the front four can't get enough pressure on the quarterback and you're relying on the backside of that field, it's gonna be a long day for them.
Yeah, especially with a rookie quarterback learning a new system. Whew, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, because again, if you get down early and you have to try to play a lot of comeback, and you got suspect receivers, and your tight end is your best receiver, that's a long day. And now you're going to put
It's
him
a
in a position
long
where
day and a long.
you're going to put him in a position where he may have to try to force balls into really, really tight windows and then start getting picked off. So hopefully that doesn't happen because that can ruin a young quarterback's confidence and stuff like that. There may be times when they're looking at Davis Mills and saying, warm up, and stuff like that. And then you don't want to do that too much because that'll really destroy the confidence too. So
Right.
it kind of puts you in a bad position if you end up having to play from behind like that. All right, let's see. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts, led by Anthony Richardson, who basically beat out Uncle Rico for the starting position. Oh man, we've got Zach Moss that is supposed to start as running back with Jonathan Taylor now on IR, I believe, right?
Yes, he's on the IR for 4 weeks minimum, and I hope that Zach is going to be the starting running back because I picked him up for fantasy, so he better be.
So again, I think they're going to do the same thing. They've got Michael Pittman Jr. at one wide receiver, Alec Pierce, and then Josh Downs, and then Kylan Granson, who I don't know who that is, in at tight end. Uh, so that's what they're running. So this kind of reminds me of Houston in a way where you got a young quarterback who's going to have to lean on his running game. They may do a lot of design runs. Anthony Richardson is very, very raw. His measurables are off the charts, but it's not refined by any stretch of the imagination. But the potential was enough for Indianapolis to go ahead and take a chance on him, and it'll probably pay off for them as long as they're patient. They really should be because they've had a new quarterback every year for the last 5 years at least. So they really need to be patient with this young man and make sure that he has all of the tools around him to be successful. In the meantime, they're going to have to do a lot of piecemeal work with him. And basically, it may be more of those things, Rand, where I think they're going to say, okay, we really want our playbook to be this, but we're going to have to make it this and have him grow into that playbook, not try to run all these plays at him, but start with a few things that we practice, that we execute well in practice, and then go from there.
Yeah, they're really going to have to exercise patience, just like you said. We're talking about a quarterback coming in his first year as a rookie. My man was only 54% completion percentage in college his last year. So, that's definitely going to have to improve here in the pro level. So he does have some wide receivers that are a little better than the Houston weapons. I do like Michael Pittman Jr. a lot. I also like Alec Pierce a lot. And in the slot, they got my man or our man, Josh Downs from UNC, who should be a really good weapon to have there. So um, the line looks a little better than Houston's. I like Quentin Nelson at left guard. So we'll see. I do think I like Indianapolis a lot more than I like Houston, or a little
Right.
more than I like Houston. And I like Indy's defense a lot more than Houston's defense. If they had Taylor, we could be talking, a second place finish. Without Taylor, remains to be seen. It kind of disrupts a whole lot of things on that offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I see from this team too. Is that, and just from an organizational standpoint, their organization seems a little bit more steady and consistent in a lot more ways than Houston. Houston is just kind of dumpster fire over the last couple of years, so a lot of their issues are off the field as well. Just the way that they've had a lot of change and self-inflicted wounds going on at their organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the Tennessee Titans. And this is going to be an interesting bunch. Ryan Tannehill, or you can call him Kirk Cousins, uh, is their starting quarterback. And I say that because Malik Willis, who was drafted last year, is his backup, and Will Levis, who was drafted this past draft, is going to be the third quarterback. I call him the Kirk Cousins in a lot of ways, is because a lot of times people complain about Ryan Tannehill as a starting quarterback. They bring in guys that can't dethrone him. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. He's a you know decent quarterback at best, um, but I mean he seems to win the starting job year in, year out. I mean he also gets to lean on the beast of a man, the man that made oh Lord, not just, Lord Josh look really really bad when he trucked him. That would be the one only Derrick Henry, who is just a man's man. They did acquire DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason as one receiver. Then they have Treylon Burks and Nick Westbrook on the other side. They have Aquanquo, if that's how you say his name, in at the tight end position. So they've got a few weapons on the team, but my worry is with DeAndre Hopkins. You're getting a older DeAndre Hopkins. He is the number one, but in all reality, he is a guy with some sure hands, but he's not a guy that's going to create a lot of separation. He just knows how to use his body to shield off defenders and things like that. As long as you're putting it somewhere that he can get it and keep it out of harm's way. He's very reliable with his hands, but he's not a burner by any stretch of the imagination. Not a lot of knowledge that I have about Treylon Burks or Nick Westbrook, but if anything, is he going to command a double team? Probably not, but they may do a little shadow over him, and it's going to be up to those other receivers to try to get open or the tight end to get open. Other than that, you're going to have to rely a lot again on the run game with Derrick Henry just blowing everybody up.
Yeah. Hopkins may be a dynamic receiver that he was a couple of years ago, but even if he is, I don't have any faith in any of these quarterbacks being able to get him the ball on a consistent basis.
I think that was the problem, even with Murray, is that he couldn't get him the ball.
Yeah, especially not Tannehill though. And looking at the moves that the Titans have made over the past couple of seasons, I think 2 years in a row now, or at least two out of the last 3 years, they've taken quarterbacks high in the draft. So the pressure is definitely on Tannehill to produce this year. I think his rope is going to be very short. They're going to pull that pretty quickly if he starts to struggle, and probably get Will Levis in there early in the year, since he's kind of the hometown kid, Kentucky, that everybody kind of wants to see anyway. So, yeah, I like the tight end that they have. Aquanyo, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. He may do some big things. I like their line and Andre Dillard that they got from Philadelphia. Should help out Derrick Henry some more. But we all know if Henry goes down for any period of time, this team is in major trouble.
And that's exactly where I was going to go. If Henry can't then their rebuilding may start in the middle of the season, like you said, and just go ahead and turn it over to the young guy and just see what he can do and let him go ahead and take the lumps and make the mistakes.
Yeah,
Because
man.
what do you have to lose if you're out of the running?
Yeah, we're looking at 3 teams deep now in the South, and all 3 of these teams have some just major question marks all over their roster, man. Over.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans are not any different. Like I said, they do have some weapons as far as wide receivers, but which quarterback is going to get them the ball? Don't know that.
Exactly. And if you're looking for Tannehill is not mobile at all. I mean, he is a pocket guy. And if the pocket collapses, Tannehill will be on the ground. And who's to say if Tannehill tweaks anything or gets slightly injured, will they just not use that as an excuse to say, "Oh, don't worry, just heal up a little bit, and we'll just try to bring Levis out there and have Malik back him up," and they just use that as an excuse.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, especially if they get off to like a 1-3, 1-4 start, it's
Yes,
over for Tannehill.
yes,
I don't care if it's a stub toe. He's coming out.
right. Because the AFC is so competitive. The only team that I can see that is going to go to the playoffs is the one that wins the division. If you do not win this division, you're going to be home. You're not
No
going to the
doubt.
playoffs.
No
There's
doubt
no wild
about
card coming out of this division at all.
it. Negative.
All right. Well, with that said, let's look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, uh, headed off by Doug Peterson at head coach, Sunshine at the quarterback with CJ Beathard. That would be Trevor Lawrence, but CJ Beathard as his backup. They're only carrying 2 quarterbacks. Travis Etienne Jr. is going to be back at running back with Calvin Ridley. Long as he didn't gamble over the weekend, should be in at wide receiver. Um, Christian Kirk, 2 years removed from the Cardinals, is going to be in at receiver. And then they have Zay Jones at the other receiver. And 2 years removed from the New York Football Giants, they have Evan Ingram in at the tight end position. Now this club is running also a base 3-4 defense. So they're looking to be very, very fast. Doug Peterson came in last year and did a heck of a job with his team after all the turmoil that they have been through and really just kind of steadied the ship, got things back into a sense of normalcy. Trevor Lawrence by far had his best year last year as a pro, 4,100 yards passing.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, only took 27 sacks, played in all 17 games, 66% completion rating at that. So his best season by far.
Yeah. The Jaguars should waltz into the playoffs with no problem. As far as weapons, I mean, they are loaded with
Yes.
weapons. They brought a lot back from last year as well. They got a lot of rescues from other teams. Zay Jones coming from the Raiders. Christian Kirk, thank God, being rescued from the Cardinals and came over here.
Yes.
So their wide receiver core looks really strong, especially with Ridley coming back to lead it. If Calvin Ridley has not lost anything from the last time we saw him in Atlanta, I mean, this team should be offensively just they should go. They probably will finish 6-0 in the division.
Mm. Mm.
Evan Ingram at tight end as well, coming from the Giants. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Ingram found, I think, his rescue as well. He had 4 touchdowns last year, but his reception average was 10.5 per. So that's pretty good for a tight end, especially a guy that you want for just your short intermediate passing and everything like that. So they did use them that way. Definitely was a big impact last year. Christian Kirk came in last year, 84 receptions, 1,100 yards. That's pretty good for what he was doing in Arizona. to come over and do that. Etienne actually received a couple of times too, 35 receptions for 316 yards as a receiver, and then on the ground, he put down another 1,100 yards. So he had over 1,400 all-purpose yards from the running back position. So you're right. This is a very dangerous team in the AFC South that will cause some disturbances outside of their division. But you're right. I don't see any other team in their division that's going to be able to challenge them at all. So they're going to be head and shoulders. Like you said, they should waltz into the playoffs because all they have to do is win the division. And I don't, it's them at 1. And then it's 2 of them that could be jumbled up at 2, and that's between Indianapolis and Tennessee. And I remember when Indianapolis and Tennessee used to fight for 1. Now they're fighting for 2. And then I've got Houston basically backing up the bottom. Even though I see them being incrementally better than they were last year, still not enough to get out of that 4th position.
Yeah, this division reminds me of the Patriots division a couple of years ago, where they just picked up 6 easy wins in their own division, and therefore only had to get 4 more for the rest of the season. They were in the playoffs every single year. I see the Jaguars being able to do that this year, just 6 easy wins within their division, and only would have to get maybe 4 more, probably only 4 more to get into the playoffs, maybe 3 more. So. Yeah, I see this one going Jaguars, Indy 2nd. And at the time where I did my preseason predictions a few weeks back, I actually had Tennessee finishing dead last with Houston coming in 3rd. So
that wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it, but we'll see how the season transpires.
That wouldn't surprise me. I will be pleasantly surprised if Houston moves up to 3rd. It's not totally impossible because, again, we don't know what we got with Tennessee. I mean, you got some names on there. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry can't carry that team when they're playing from 2 touchdowns behind or 10 points down. DeAndre Hopkins, if he gets hot, all they're going to do is throw a double team on him and force you to beat him with your other 2 younger receivers. So, and if where Tannehill starts is where he's going to be because he ain't moving around. So you don't even have to worry about his elusiveness. I'd worry more about CJ Stroud not being where he was because he can take off. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one's going to be real interesting just to see how it pans out. Houston could be that team kind of like the Detroit Lions were a couple of years ago, where they got just a little bit better, even though it really didn't show in the standings too much. So
exactly, and that's why I mean, looking at DeMeco Ryans as a coach, I mean Mike Vrabel is a good coach. Don't get me wrong, but players around the league love DeMeco Ryans, and it's going to be real interesting to see. There's a value to that, and I believe that some of that can translate into wins because players will just go all out for that coach that they just respect and love like that. So it'll be interesting to see if any of that will start to translate into wins or close losses, like Detroit was having with Dan Campbell, where they were elevating their play. It didn't translate to wins on the field, but you could definitely see that they were on the rise.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, okay. Well, it looks like we're pretty much in agreement about who's winning that division and somewhat how it's going to shake out. Like I said, I'm with you. I can see 3 and 4 flip flopping. I can see 2 and 3 flip flopping. But definitely number 1 is number 1. All right. Well, with that said, let's take a look at the I'm gonna keep doing this. The NFC South, and up first, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by the prolific quarterback, Rams' number 1 main man that goes out to drinks and spends time in Myrtle Beach together. That would be the one and the only. This is our house, Mr. Baker Mayfield. He don't have a house now, but yeah.
Thank God Adam Osman is not online today to say that this is my quarterback, this is my man.
Oh, Adam, I did it for you. I did it for you. We got Baker
You know,
backed up. Trask.
Tampa still has some weapons left, man. But problem is what you just said. Who is
Yes,
going to throw him the ball? And that would be a
exactly.
Baker Mayfield. I have no faith at all in Mayfield being able to lead any kind of football team anywhere except for a 5-win season.
Here's my prediction. If Tampa Bay is in third or fourth place in the NFC South by the trade deadline, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin will be shocked.
Need to be.
If they're not, that would be stupid. Because you could get a lot of value for them, especially on a team that is looking to make a serious playoff push by the trade deadline that could take either of those two onto their team and be able to make a big push. And you could get a lot of value for them then. If you wait till the end of the season, you may not be able to get as much value. But those two guys in particular still have a lot left in the tank, and they're going to be wasting themselves away on a team where they have a 4'7" quarterback that will not be able to get these guys the ball.
It's interesting that you say that, Brian, because I'm already hearing rumblings through the insider stuff that I read that not Godwin, the other
Mike
Evans wants out. Evans is asking out, or Evans is not happy. He's not happy. And I wouldn't be happy either. This team needs to be blowed up and started over. And he's stuck there.
Because Evans isn't going to want to sit there every time the ball is hiked, knowing he's simply blocking.
Nah, he's not going to want to sit there either and go through a rebuild when he has all the talent in the world to be able to compete on another team that could be playoff bound. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and Cade Otton, the tight end, looked really good last year with Brady. We'll see if he continues to develop. But again, the whole thing with the offense is going to be how many balls are going to be batted down at the line of scrimmage. I just don't see it. I honestly don't see it. I don't know how Baker beat Kyle Trask. I just have no idea. I don't know what this team is doing. They do have Rashad White in at running back, so no more playoff Lenny with the team. Sean Tucker is backing him up, and then Chase Edmonds is the third running back there. They have a 3-4 defense. A lot of guys are on the team still from years past to start getting a little long in the tooth, whether it's Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Devin White, Vita Vea is still there. Even though I love Vita Vea, that's just a mass of a man.
Yeah.
Carlton Davis, Winfield Jr. A lot of the same defensive guys are still there, and even in their experience and everything. But I think with all the 3 and outs that Baker is going to deliver,
amen, brother,
amen, going to wear them out, and because they're older, it's really going to wear them out.
Yes, you just said the key word.
They may just start giving up on some plays because they ain't going to be able to. They can't maintain that long like that. They can give it to you in spurts, but you asking them to carry the game because Baker can't get the ball 15 yards down the field? Nah.
You already said the key word, bro. 3 and out, and they're going to see a lot of it. The defense is not going to be able to hold for 4 quarters for 17 weeks while Baker Mayfield runs 3 and outs. And, Kyle Trask, stand close to the football field and pay attention because you're going to be putting that clipboard down at some point during the season, and you're going to be in some in-game action. I'm telling you.
I agree. They're going to get tired of it.
We've already seen it in Carolina.
I don't know why the tape. And you know what's going to happen. And you get some friends in the water cooler that for some reason love Baker Mayfield. Baker will give you 1 game of his life in a season, and everybody will be like, "See,
yep."
And then we'll sit there and say, "Just wait." Yeah. And you don't even have to wait that long.
No. So true. Every single game he does well, We see the people coming out of nowhere talking about, see, all he needed was a line. All he needed was coaching. All
Right.
he needed was, in an NFL, quarterbacks don't get everything handed to you perfectly. You
Right.
got to be
Right.
able to make deficiencies turn into points somehow.
You got to be a force multiplier. And
Yes.
it's always like people just keep waiting for the rise of Baker Mayfield. And I don't understand why. Like, he is who he is.
He
Just
is who
accept
he
it.
is.
But
Stop
I mean,
making excuses for this dude.
he'll have one game where he balled out. Remember, he went to the Rams and he had that
Yep.
comeback game and he's walking around like he
Yeah.
5 inches taller than he really is. And you're like, oh, okay. Then the next game gets smoked. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yep. After that one primetime game, everybody in the cooler. See, all he needed was a line. All he needed was a run game. Blah, 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 blah.
Like, y'all can't be that slow. I read these comments like, boy, y'all, I say, you know what? If I ever want to sell some stocks, I'm gonna make sure that they see something, the price go up, and I sell, and then it drops the next week, and they be like, "I'm broke." Yeah, I know. Anthony says, "I'm gonna hate it, but I can see Mike Evans traded to the Giants."
Yeah, I can see him traded pretty much anywhere because he ain't gonna want to stay in Tampa Bay.
No, not at all. I mean, what, you don't want Sam Howell to throw it to him? I know your brother. He making some points that way. Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy. Sam Howell, number 4. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna be all year for me. I still ain't believing that one. We should almost have to redo the draft just because of that pick.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, it's good, right? I know. The next team in the NFC South is going to be the Dirty Bird Atlanta Falcons, with Desmond Ritter now taking over as we. Oh Lord, now I just forgot my man's name. Oh Lord, I can see him. He was their quarterback, and they got rid of him at the end of the
What are you
year.
talking about?
For the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, you talking about
Say it.
I forgot to he went to the Rams. I mean, not the Rams, he went to the Raiders.
I'll tell you who it was. It was Marcus Mariota. There it is. Yeah, it was Mariota.
Thank you. Yeah, Mariota.
So they gave him a Mariota at the end of the season, brought in Desmond Ritter, and Mariota kind of walked off the team after they made it clear that they weren't going to keep him. But Desmond Ritter, I hate to tell you, son, you got some competition behind you, because I've been a fan of Taylor Heineke, and after Washington decided not to bring him back and start Sam Howell, Taylor has a lot of NFL starts. He has a lot of those big wins, decent arm, good decision-making skills. So yeah, Desmond, I know you're more of a dual threat quarterback, and the fact that your legs definitely are there. So that'll be good. They're going to lean on their rookie running back in Bijan Robinson. Cordero Patterson is still going to be back there, mixing it up with Tyler Algier too. They've got Drake London, Matt Collins, and Scott Miller. Is that Scotty Miller? It just says Scott Miller. Is that Scotty? I'm trying to see if that's. Yes, it is. They just put Scott. That's Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then you've got Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith in at the tight ends. I really want to see what Pitts is going to be able to do this year with either of the quarterbacks. He's been their best receiver for the last couple of seasons now, and he's been susceptible to a lot of double teams as a result of that. So we really haven't seen him really get up to his potential. So I really, really want to be able to see what Pitts is going to be able to do this year. Last year, he actually did only, from a receiving standpoint, 28 receptions for 2 touchdowns. Not a whole lot from a tight end that came out of Florida, I believe it was, that had a whole lot of potential in front of him, Rand.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a strong call right now and say by week 4, Taylor Heineke is going to be the starting quarterback for the Falcons.
Woo!
Desmond Ritter is not that dude. I never liked him coming out of Cincinnati. I'm glad that Carolina passed on him.
Right.
But I think Atlanta has him way overvalued and way over in
Too.
on his head.
Yep.
So yeah, Heineke is going to be finishing out the year for the Atlanta Falcons. I'll make that call right now.
Good call. Good
I
call.
like what the Falcons have on offense. They got Mac Hollins from the Raiders. They got Drake London, who did a nice job with the Falcons last year. And of course, Kyle Pitts, like you just talked about. I'm excited to see the running back, Bijan Robinson. He's supposed to be dynamic, but even if he fails, he's got Tyler Algier, who is very good behind. Well, actually, he was the lead back last year and did a good job. And Cordell everything. So I think that the Falcons, if they keep it on the ground and concentrate on the run game, rather than put it in the hands of their quarterback, they could do fairly well.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And from a defense, they're also running a 3-4. But not a lot of guys that I really see, other than they do have Bud Dupree on their team at the linebacker spot. Um, Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell. You got some guys there that should be able to help out that defense, but I don't really see um, a overwhelming defense. I'll tell you the biggest returning player that they have is the special teams is Young Huku is a kicker that's been clutch with a
Yeah.
lot of long field goal kicks. So I don't bring up a kicker a lot, but he's one of those guys that has proven over the last couple of years that he is not afraid of pressure, does not shy away from pressure, and a lot of times is the reason that they end up winning those really really close games because he's able to kick field goals at the end of the game. And I bring that up because if they can stay in games and get it down to that last minute field goal, they may actually be able to have a few more wins than they normally would have had. So I do see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Atlanta not looking half bad. They're definitely going to need to get another quarterback in there, though. So
Absolutely.
hoping Taylor Heineke will be that man.
Absolutely. Um, let's take a look at the New Orleans Saints, where they are being led by former Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, with their backup being Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill listed as third quarterback. He's not even being listed as a tight end anymore. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams at running back. Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended for was it the first 4 games of the season or 6? I know he's out. I know he's.
I think he only got 2 games.
Did he only get?
Yeah, he got something very minor. I don't even think it was 4 games.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was something
Maybe
like
it
2 games.
maybe it got reduced because they were talking about a longer one, and it probably got.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So he's going to be out. So in his presence, you're going to have Jamal Williams backing that up. You're going to have Olave, who I loved last year. He was another Ohio State guy too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So you have Traquan Smith, Mike Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, those guys at receiver. You got Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau and Jimmy Graham in at the tight ends. So we'll see how that goes. They are running a fullback with Adam Prentice, and then they've got the guys up front. So it'll be really interesting. They're running their defense at 4-3. You still got Cam Jordan. In that defense, you've got the Honey Badger, Tyron Matthew in at safety, Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis, Carl Granderson. So you got some of the old defensive guys too. Kind of reminds me of Tampa. Some of your same old defensive guys that for years have kind of been the backbone of that team, just kind of waiting for Drew Brees' replacement to come in and get that offense firing on all pistons and everything. And you just gotten a lot of backfire lately. Not not a whole lot to show for it. Uh, you did get some flashes last year, like I said with Olave. He came in as a rookie and had 1,000 yards. Kamara rushed for almost 900 yards. He was 3 yards short, but he didn't get to play all of the games last year. They had Ingram in last year. Ingram's no longer there. They had Latavius Murray last year. He's no longer there. Of course, Andy Dalton was also in there as quarterback, but he is at another team now. I'm trying to remember which one. Um, just kidding.
Panthers.
Just- so we'll see how this offense will evolve. But Olave by far had the most targets, had 119 targets. The closest guy to him after that, from a receiving standpoint, was Alvin Kamara with 77. So that's going to have to change. Tre'Quan Smith has been with the team for years, has always been that third receiver. They had Jarvis Landry last year. That didn't work out like they thought it would. So Olave was definitely by far their most trusted receiver with 1,000 yards, but only 4 touchdowns to show for it. 14.5 yards per reception, just could not get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I see Derek Carr has been in the weight room lately. You seen this before and afters?
No.
Oh yeah, he's jacked now. He's jacked now. I don't know
Okay.
what difference that's gonna make on the football field, but he is jacked like a linebacker jack now. So
What the difference is going to make is he may have to run and take some hits. So
yeah, I'm sure that's gonna happen. Yeah.
that might help him. I mean, he's got good running backs, but he still may have to try to escape some pressures and things that I think is going to actually come his way. Um, Derek Carr is a decent quarterback with a decent arm, but a lot of times Derek Carr likes to put the ball in harm's way too much. Um,
Yes.
and I'm kind of afraid. Even though last year when we kind of heard the rumblings that Derek Carr was wanting out of Vegas, and I'm like, bring him to Carolina, definitely because he'd be an upgrade to anything that Carolina had at the time. Even understanding that, hey, he's a risk it no biscuit kind of guy. He's going to throw it up there and throw a lot of 50-50 balls a lot of times, or throwing the triple coverage to see if the receiver can get a beat on the ball, even though the defensive back got just as much a chance to get the ball as the receiver does. And now your receiver
Yeah.
ends up becoming a DB.
Yeah, he'll get you those 300-yard games, but he'll also get you those games with 3 interceptions too. So
No doubt, no doubt. And people want to know, hey, Derek Carr last year, I mean, let me see, last year passing, I mean, 3,200 yards. I'm sorry, that's his career. Actually, I don't see his stats from last year. I was going to give it to him, did not. Let me see if it goes here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So last year, Derek Carr had 3,500 yards passing. That is true. 24 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. The 14 interceptions were by far the most that he's had, tied with the year before, 2021 and 2022. He had 14 interceptions each. 2021, he had 23 touchdowns. 2022, he had 24 touchdowns. So he's kind of thrown more interceptions the latter part of his career. He's been around since 2014, and the last 2 years, he's had the highest amount of interceptions. And he had 24 touchdowns, but he's had as many as 32 back in 2015. So Anthony says, was it just me or Jameis Winston looked bad during preseason? No, it wasn't just you.
I don't know. I didn't watch Winston in preseason, but if he looked anything like he did in last year's regular season, I could believe it.
Yeah, he had that one season when he first came after Drew Brees that he actually looked like things were being corrected and everything, and then all of a sudden, after he got hurt and came back, he just wasn't the same dude anymore. And Derek Carr makes Myles Garrett look little. Is he that big now? Okay,
He's
I'm gonna have
jacked
to check.
up, man.
I'm gonna have to check these pictures after the show. Not like I'm crushing after him. I just kind of want to see what y'all talking about, you know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how New Orleans will go as far as Derek Carr can take them.
Right.
It's going to be that simple. And it's kind of to be determined because you just don't know which Derek Carr you're really going to get. So I'm a
Yeah.
little skeptical. A lot of folks have New Orleans kind of ranked high in the South, and I'm just not convinced that the only way they may be ranked high in the South is by default if you're thinking that Tampa and Atlanta just look so much like doo-doo that they have no choice to rise. They have almost by default.
Yeah.
Speaking of a team by default
A lot.
in the NFC South. I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
I was just saying, I heard a lot of people, a lot of analysts having the Saints winning the division, but I just don't see that.
No, neither.
I limit them because of their head coach, Dennis Allen. I mean, I have to knock them down a few pegs on the ladder because of him. I mean, that's just an awful coach.
I agree.
Looking at their line, Trevor Penning, who's a very nice left tackle, but he also is a hothead and gets a lot of calls for flags and stuff like that. So it's just going to be discipline issues, and the non-coaching that I see is going to be, the fault of New Orleans this year.
That's a very good call. I like that. Absolutely. Well, last but not least, let's talk about them Cats in Carolina, headed by Coach Matt Rule and their quarterback.
No.
Oh, man,
don't you ever mention that name.
Oh,
you know
okay.
what? You know what game is going to be on for college this Saturday?
What was that? Nebraska?
Nebraska versus Colorado, baby.
Oh,
Dion against Matt Rule, and I can't wait to see it.
Oh, okay. Colorado gonna be 2-0 because Matt Rule gonna do something to mess that game up.
Absolutely.
I mean, he couldn't even score more than 10 points in the last game they just lost. It's like, here we go again. Matt Rule can't score more than 10 points a game, and then at the end of the game, defer all responsibility and blame it on a player or another coach. That's his MO.
Never his fault.
It's never his fault. That's
never.
So yeah, get ready because Coach Prime is gonna go all up in that.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it.
Now you told me that. Oh, I'm definitely watching that. That's gonna be, and yeah, I will say this too about what Prime has done is getting these schools and these players so much visibility and stuff like that. What he's doing with that, with his platform and being able to, because when we were in New York, we were at a Mexican restaurant in Park Slope, and all of the TVs had that game on.
Oh,
everybody's watching that game.
Who cared about Colorado last year?
Nobody. Not even Colorado.
Absolutely nobody.
Not even the state of Colorado.
No.
Nobody. I don't even think the relatives of the players care.
What you're gonna see with Coach Prime is exactly what I put in the cooler. Remember back in the 90s when you ain't even go to the University of Michigan, but you felt like you had to get some Michigan gear because of the Fab Five.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You felt a need to get some. Yeah, or you felt a need to get some UNLV gear, though you ain't never stepped foot in UNLV before, never even been to Las Vegas before.
Didn't know what a running rebel was. Yep.
Yeah, but you felt the need to get some gear to support what was going on there. It's going to be the same with Colorado. Colorado gear is going to go through the roof, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, facts. I mean, I might,
I might too, brother.
I don't wear as many jerseys as Kent High does.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Jermaine Parker, watching Colorado football helped legalize weed in the state. You probably had to be out to watch that train direct last year.
I'm telling you. 1-11, and now they win their first game with Dion. Come on.
And playing Matt Rule. They want to play a Matt Rule-led team every week. They go undefeated. They be in the national championship game.
Oh, man, I hope that daggone Nebraska game is a home game for Colorado. I really do.
Yeah, hey, Jermaine, while you watch the show, can you look that up and let us know where that game is going to be played?
Yes, sir. Executive producer Jermaine Parker.
Exactly. Off-air producer.
Off-air producer.
while we gonna look at that, let's talk about them Carolina Panthers, led by their first-year quarterback, Mr. Bryce Young, with their backup as the Red Rocket Andy Dalton, led by running back from the Philadelphia. He said, "Hold on, running back from Philadelphia last year, Miles Sanders, backed up by Chuba Hubbard and Raheem Blackshear. Wide receivers: Adam Thielen, Terrence Marshall Jr., DJ Chark, Visca Chenault, Jonathan Mingo." And then you've got Hayden Hurst, Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble in at your tight ends. We didn't see a lot in the preseason with their line, and there's been some concern about their line. Iquanu looked a little bit slower than he did last year, got beat on a lot of plays. Brady Christensen also in on that side. And you've got Bozeman back at center, Zavala in at right guard, and Telemotin. It's a home game for Colorado. Oh, it's going to be crazy. Nebraska, you have no chance.
No.
Their first home game? Nah.
Boy.
Nah. Oh, it just reminds me of a Wyclef Jean song. Someone please call 911. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's going to be a bloodbath. Shadur might throw for 700 yards instead of 510. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, anyway, woo. God bless him. You didn't have much of a chance at Nebraska, but at Colorado, nah, bro. But yeah, so they've got that's their offense, and then they're running for the first time in a long time, if ever, a base 3-4 defense. I'm hoping with hope that they get this deal done with Brian Burns over the next couple of days, because they really need him. They are going to open up on the road against Atlanta, but they've got Derek Brown, they've got Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, Frankie Luvo, Dante Action Jackson. Hopefully his wheels are better this year. I think he still had some lingering effects from his ankle injury. Von Bell is going to be back there, Xavier Woods, J.C. Horn, and then the all-utility guy, Jeremy Chin. I really want to see what Evero is going to be able to do with Jeremy Chin, moving him around and having him line up in different places. They have him in at cornerback, but we've seen Jeremy Chin line up at linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see where if he's going to end up in one spot or if they're going to end up utilizing him in different spots. So a lot to kind of look at this year, Rand, with the defense. Should be a lot better, a lot faster. The biggest question to me is going to be, there's really no number one receiver, but it's just a host. And Adam Thielen tried to say, well, we don't really need a number one receiver. We've got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. And that really keeps the opposing defense from honing in on that one player, because you kind of have to respect them all.
Yeah. And I kind of like that philosophy. When Cam took Carolina to the Super Bowl that one year, they didn't have like a go-to receiver that year. He was kind of all over the board with the wide receivers.
Right.
So I think they'll be back with that. And as far as Brian Burns, Bosa got his money today. He got paid $170 million deal with the 49ers. So that resets the market. I look for Brian Burns to have his money by Friday. I don't think this goes past Friday.
Yeah, right there, now that Bosa got his money, then that kind of puts you in a spot where this is what you're going to have to do. And if you don't, Panthers, just look at history. It's going to cost you more later.
Definitely.
I mean, what you ain't wanting to give him now, you're going to have to give him at the end of the season.
You're going to be better.
Because his production will be enough in a lot of times to change the game.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to pay them.
You got Justin Houston on the other side, which is a very good pass rusher, but he's a little long in the tooth. He's not a number one pass rusher you want to be depending on. You basically got a bunch of backups if you don't sign Brian Burns coming into week 1 against Atlanta. So Panthers, y'all going to have to get this deal done.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah, this dude has been beasting out since he came into the league. So we're gonna
Yes.
have to we're gonna definitely have to get this done. Just to give you an idea, Brian Burns uh, had 119 solo tackles last year, 77 assisted. Uh, so I mean, this dude puts it out there, y'all. He is out there on every single play. So you got to get this guy signed. I mean, this should be done in the morning.
Right.
So he
Exactly.
can
It
be,
should
so
be.
he can be at practice on Friday, do the walkthrough on Saturday. Anthony says we're wanting Chris Jones. Raiders got more drama now. What drama did the Raiders get? We
Not
were
not sure
wanting,
what Raiders drama.
and then I'm not sure what you meant by we were wanting on Chris Jones. Raiders got more drama. Let me know what you mean by that, and I'll put it on the air. But yeah, so Rand, as long as Bryce Young, and again, anybody that's listened to any of my show, any of the shows knows that I'm never sold on a shorter quarterback, just because of the fact I don't see them last long. They don't play a full season. Whether it's Kyler Murray, whether it's Robert Griffin Jr., whether it's Johnny Manziel, whether it's Michael Vick, um, Drew Brees early in his career couldn't stay healthy because he's on the shorter side too. Um, Anthony says we're still waiting for Chris Jones's new deal. Sorry. Oh yeah, yeah. That needs to get done too. That's crazy. Um, but so, but the thing that I always keep hearing about with Bryce Young is Brian. He's a shorter guy, but between the ears, this guy's really really good with decision making and everything else. And I hope that keeps him out of harm's way. I did see him make some nice running plays in the last preseason game where he took off and took what the defense gave him. He didn't try to go overboard and fight for that extra yard or two. He slid down to the ground gracefully and then took the yards that he could get and move on to the next play.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see that. I think Frank Wright is a good quarterback coach that'll be able to coach him into, if he has to throw the ball away and play for the next play, that kind of thing. As long as the decision making is there and he doesn't put himself in harm's way, I can handle that. If he can step up in the pocket so that he can get the ball past the line of scrimmage so that the defensive players can't just sit there and jump up and use their mitts to either tap the ball up in the air for any of those interceptions or just simply bat it down to the ground. Hey, I'm with it, and I'll give it a chance. I just haven't seen too many short quarterbacks be able to sustain for the long haul. So they don't have a lot of tape on him right now as far as NFL plays. So that could be to his advantage to be able to do things that scouting teams can't run and simulate because they haven't seen enough film on him in NFL games. The only thing they have is going back to Alabama. Um, so it may be good early, and I hope it is, and hopefully they can keep that going.
Yeah. He's a very cerebral quarterback from
Right,
what I'm reading and from what I've seen. I watched him in preseason, and though he didn't light it up in preseason, he also didn't turn it over either. He's
right,
quick to just sling that ball out of bounds if he doesn't see anything, sling it into the ground if he doesn't see anything.
yep,
Not a whole bunch of tip passes like we watched with Baker Mayfield.
yeah,
And even with Baker, he did not have the athleticism to get away from a sack if it was coming. You
hmm
either panicked and threw it away, most of the
right,
time picked off, or would take the sack. Bryce, he kind of gives a little shifty move and he'll get some positive yards, and he has speed in order to do that. So I like the move. I wish him the best. I'm also not one to like really be on short quarterbacks, but this one I'm hoping the Panthers got right, and I think they did get
right,
it right. We'll
right. And
see.
one thing that I did see in that last preseason game, it does seem like he does have a pretty good chemistry already with Adam Thielen. That
Right, I saw that.
that could prove really really good if early on he needs to lean on that veteran so he can get used to Mingo and Shark. Shark is a guy that could give you some of those explosive plays downfield. So that'll be interesting to see, but that may have to develop. Chenault, good guy that can catch a lot of those smoke passes to the on the side and do a little bit of damage that way too. So all of that will really really be interesting. The way I have it, coming out, Rand, is and it is not homerish for the NFC South. Um, Again, this is going to be a division where if you don't, the only team that I feel coming out of the South is going to be the division winner. I see no wild card coming out of this division. Um, I have Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa Bay.
100% agree. Got them right in that order, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we'll definitely see how that goes. Anthony, I apologize. I did have a little thing that did the whole breaking news. Anthony just brought us some breaking news, but I will read it in my sportscaster voice. We now have breaking news coming in from the news desk. It seems that superstar quarterback Joe Burrow is expected to finalize a long-term deal with the Bengals before the end of the week that would make him the highest paid player of all time.
All right. Burrow getting his money.
Yeah, he needs to. Go
Right.
ahead. Just kind of limit them sacks that man takes. Good God. But yeah, that's good. I hope to see that happen because that's just gonna keep resetting the floor for quarterbacks, and before you know it, even Teddy Bridgewater will hit 30 million. Yeah, you know how I feel about Teddy. Anyway, so that is going to be our picks for the division. Rand, who do you have coming out of the AFC? Can you think about which ones you got coming out of AFC?
Oh man, okay, so running it back, I think the AFC East, I had the Bills winning that division. I had the Cincinnati Bengals for the North. For the South, I got Jacksonville. For the West, I got Kansas City. Wild card teams, I think I had the Chargers, the Jets, and my Steelers. Coming out of the AFC, I have to give it to Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, unfortunately.
Me too.
What?
Me too.
All right.
I'm with you all the way with all of those.
Yeah.
As far as the NFC, we just picked NFC South, and I got the Panthers going. I've got the San Francisco 49ers going. I've got the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East. I've got the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North. I've got the Seattle Seahawks as a wild card. I've got oh Lord, who else did I have? Definitely not the Rams. God, I don't want to say the Cowboys. No, I think it's going to be another team in the. Yeah, it might be the Cowboys. Okay, I'm stuck. I got two more, but I think the Cowboys are going to probably be one of them.
Yeah, I had those four winning the division, and my wild cards, I do believe I had Dallas, Minnesota, and the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's what it was. I forgot about Minnesota. Yeah, I got two teams coming out of the North because I was like, if somehow the Vikings do win, I still see the Lions getting in as the wild card flip flop, but I really see the Lions winning that division.
Yeah,
and I see the Cowboys. The Cowboys back-to-back years have won 12 games, so I can't discount the fact that they didn't fall off that much. They really just lost Zeke, and now you're going to see Pollard is going to be able to step up as a number one. They did get Brandon Cooks in as a receiver. If he can stay healthy all year, that'll help them out. Gallup is another year removed from being hurt, so I think that's going to help. So the team overall is long, and if Zach Dak can't do it, then they'll just bring in Cooper Rush. I'm messing, but it'll all come down to Dak at this point. But yeah, I do see them eking it in as well. Super Bowl predictions: you got Cincinnati on one side. Who you got coming out of the NFC?
I'm gonna shake the dice with San Francisco.
It's a good shake. I got it, and I think that Cincinnati is going to pull it off.
Yeah,
Bengals fans. I think they will. I just think they have more firepower at the end of the day. I love Shanahan, but I think the Bengals are going to definitely pull this one out. So that's
Yeah,
my Super Bowl.
you know what? I'm gonna go with my man Copeland just to go the opposite and say that San Fran's gonna take it. So we'll see at the end of the year.
I know my time is up, but I got one more question. Coach of the year, who you got?
Coach of the year. Whew. Wow, let's go with those Carolina Panthers and Frank Wright.
Okay, Frank Reich's a good one. I'm also looking at Dan Campbell, Doug Peterson, and I had one other guy now I can't think about it, but I really think that Doug Peterson is going to take Jacksonville to another level this year. So I'm looking at that. Of course, it could also be Zach Taylor from Cincinnati. Anthony Price says Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is always a perennial favorite because the standard is the standard,
That's
and
right.
you can never go wrong with Mike Tomlin as at least a finalist for Coach of the Year. Well, y'all, I want y'all to sit there and buckle up for the next 6 months. Football is back, baby, whether it's college, whether it's NFL. You tell your wife to make sure that she get you she get you the tortillas with the scoops and get you the queso and the Coronas and the lime, and then leave you the hell alone. And just
And it
check on
all starts tomorrow. It all starts
it all
tomorrow.
starts tomorrow. So y'all get it going. Ladies, if y'all out there watching the show, again, I urge you to watch. That way you can impress your man. Anyway, we will see y'all again next week. Good time with your fantasy. Rand, we'll see you, bro. Y'all be good.